If you ask a 4X strategy game fan what is it that draws them to such gameplay, you will get a whole lot of different answers. For some it is the empire building aspect, for others conquest on a massive scale, or just the exploration of a new world. Then there are those for whom it is the micromanagement of every city, army, production and economy. You can tell me in the comments what it is that you most enjoy about such games, but I want to show you one that not only has all of that, but is both visually stunning and brings a totally fresh idea to world building, or should I say world shattering. This is Atre Dominance Wars, and after a successful Kickstarter, it is opening its gates for new playtests. One such ended a few days ago, but the next one starts on February 6th, so I invite you to check it out during that weekend and share your feedback with developers. These devs worked hardest on making a prologue that gets you invested into the world and story of Atre, but also on a new combat system where you get to control large units of soldiers from not just different nations, but different worlds.
Run! Run for your lives!
Because the world in which you play in this incredibly looking 4X game is actually 4 different worlds whose pieces keep getting torn and smashed together by a cataclysmic curse called the Merge. These 4 worlds are men, Had, Wood and Atre, and are inhabited by totally unique species of sentient creatures whose only hope are the so-called Elders. Great heroes who can keep their lands stitched together and prevent the Merge from sundering them apart again. Personally, as I played this prologue of the campaign, I was positively stunned at how well these devs integrated this unique story and gameplay. Seeing the map fracture and change right in front of me, basically in real time, as I tried to move through lands that might not even be there the next day and explore new lands which just replaced others yesterday, gave me such agency that I felt as scared but also excited as the races which live here.
Fear not, men. To seek greatness is to follow a single path. Forward!
Besides just these folks, there are also more organized factions, like the Last Order, a military cult who rule with an iron fist and follow the directive of the last Eldar Empress. Then there are the Disciples of Atre, a group of historians who want to try and learn from these shattered worlds while they still can. The last are not an organization, but a horde and horror from the deepest places of the universe, where the Merge released them from the void and they only hunger for life. Now there is a lot more lore and ideas which these developers want to share with us in the full game, but let me talk about and show you more examples of the current gameplay. So while there is a custom single-player mode where you get to pick and choose the exact settings by which you want your game to be governed and which heroes you want to use, together with a tech tree and procedurally generated maps on which to raise armies and expand your kingdom, I want to focus on the narrative-driven campaign.
Blinded by such generosity, few ever question the price it demands.
This is just the prologue to it, but I was so blown away by its quality that I felt I was playing some AAA game, not an indie studio's production. You start as a lone hero with just 1 unit of soldiers, your mana pool empty, and a devastated and dangerous land ahead. The tutorial tips guide you through the controls you will need to travel and navigate, as well as to interact with the world. I simply cannot state enough how gorgeous looking the map itself is and the level of fidelity it has. I think I am especially susceptible to its charms as I have spent hundreds of hours recently playing Heroes 3 with my son, and going from gorgeous drawn 2D maps to fabulously rendered 3D ones has left me in awe. This is just one of the games that developers of Atre Dominance Wars take their inspiration from. The others are Stellaris and Dune Spice Wars. I think you can see from the gameplay that the map and hero style is like playing Heroes just in real time. while the UI is positively breathing that Stellaris level simplicity and shows a lot of information in the style that just spells undercurrents of complexity. If you dare to hover over anything, you will see why I say that. The influence of Dune Spice Wars is there too, and more obvious once you get your own city to command and expand your empire's territory. This combat is new, and devs have yet to fully finish it, meaning you have missing sound effects, not much explanation, and some things are too simplistic. But this is exactly the purpose of this playtest, so that players like you can give their feedback and help developers choose a path and final look and feel of the combat gameplay. As you keep exploring the map and checking out points of interest, which are for my taste too obviously marked, but I think it is just because of the nature of the tutorial like Prologue, you gain more units and start learning of other nations and creatures who live in these shattered and mashed up worlds. Having actual choices during these interactions with events on the map is just another bonus point in the game's favor. What I absolutely didn't expect to find in Atre Dominance Wars was an ambush mechanic, but as the tutorial shows you, both as the one getting jumped on and as the one doing the jumping, it is a valuable gameplay mechanic which allows you to win against stronger enemies. It takes a bit of testing to get right, as the area in which you can ambush enemies grows as your hero and his army spend time hidden from view. Another visual point in favor of the game is that your new units actually show up on the map and are represented as your hero's followers. You can actually figure out an army's composition just by looking at them on the map. And it is small details like these that keep drawing me into such a world, showing it as a living world, not just a static map to play on. This is about the time you finally get to refill your mana and start learning what you can do with spells. Casting spells on maps is something that was very rare in Heroes, but much more prevalent in Disciples 2, for example, which is another game I can't wait to teach my son to play. Also, both of these games had items for characters, and indeed Atre Dominance Wars has those as well. Some you can gain during the campaign and they will boost your stats, while others you can craft yourselves. What surprised me, however, was how spells were used inside battles in this game. You don't have a spellbook to call upon when you start a battle, but rather you store spells on your hero while still on the world map. Casting a fireball on my hero a few times before going into a battle let me cast it later during that battle. I was lacking the option to choose its target, but developers told me that that feature is coming in the next iteration of combat. And now we come to the most interesting and unique part of the gameplay.
Do not stop. The merge is coming.
This is how the merge turns these worlds upside down and whole map changes as you play. The visuals alone are amazing, but the consequences for the gameplay are much more interesting. Before we get to that part, yes, here too your hero levels up and has stats you can boost as you wish. I would advise reading these carefully, as they don't exactly work like in other similar games, so depending on your playstyle, you need to invest points into what works best for you. Terrain lore was the most unexpected stat to me, and with its connection to the ambush tactic, I think it will be very interesting to more of you. Now that I was more free to explore the map on my own, I very much enjoyed traveling from one biome to another, seeing what is hidden in ruins, falling for more ambushes, and also discovering powerful artifacts to boost my hero and refill his mana. With exploration come new factions and forms of life, but also new units to command, which are just stranger and stranger, both in their look and the way they fight. At last I reached the last map fragment and the object of my character's quest. I don't want to spoil everything for you, so I'm just going to remind you to download the playtest on the 6th of February and enjoy this wonderful game in development for yourselves. To learn about more such new and upcoming games, check out these cards or links in the description. Thank you for watching and happy gaming!